So I'm going to talk you through a couple of really practical things that you can do as a social worker in relation to domestic and family violence. We shouldn't think that this is just only a specialist area of practice. You'll see domestic and family violence in all areas of social work practice. So this is really important information. The first is this idea of routine inquiry. This is a great book about domestic violence, a novel called The Woman Who Walked Into Doors. And in a section of the book, she's at the hospital and she says, I wanted to be asked, ask me, ask me, ask me. I tell her, look at the burn, ask me about it, ask me. So people are often very scared when they experience domestic and family violence. And if they're in a situation with you and it's private and the perpetrator's not there and you really think it's a possibility that this is going on, ask. Just make sure you ask, because they will be so embarrassed, so ashamed, they might not bring it up, and they're waiting for you to do that. So that's a really important message for you to take away. Ask the questions. And so sometimes we call this routine inquiry when we have basic questions that we ask everyone, okay? And they do this in maternity services in Queensland. When you have a baby, they ask you these questions all the time. And these are what they look like. This is something I published many years ago as a practitioner. We ask everyone about this. Are you being heard at home? How do you work out arguments? Now, that's a really good one. How do you work out arguments? Because most of us work out arguments quite harmoniously, but other people don't always do that, right? So if they end in violence, that's a good indication of domestic and family violence. Does anyone make it hard for you to come here? Are you frightened? Are you scared of your partner? Be prepared to follow through. All you need is that domestic violence DV Connect phone number. That's all you need, okay? So don't have to make it complicated here. Sometimes we'll engage in risk assessment as well. So we look at how dangerous it is for someone, escalating risks, alcohol and drugs, is the violence getting worse, have the police been out, strangulation, weapons. If you've got a client and you think, oh my God, this is really, I'm scared here for their well-being, I think this is escalating and getting really risky, I don't know what to do, then please contact a domestic violence service. You can ring DV Connect yourself and ask these questions. There's absolutely no shame in being thorough. Another thing we often do is this thing called safety planning. And in safety planning, we look at how can we maintain your safety. Sometimes that's just discussing escape routes. Sometimes we do this with kids as well, putting speed dials on their phone, places to hide. Sometimes when women leave, they'll hide their clothes somewhere. So classic examples, I know of a woman who she hid her clothes in the garbage bin. Yeah, so she was taking the garbage out and she put them there. And then when her partner went to work the next day, she could go out and just take them and then she could leave. Where are safe places you can go? Just remember, people can leave on average 7 times. They'll try and leave a violent relationship before it really sticks. So 7 times is a long time. So you need to be patient with that. There's a lot of barriers for women when they're leaving. You don't want to be a barrier, okay? You want to be an enabler. So you need to keep being supportive. On an individual level, I would encourage you to be doing some of these things here. You need to question gender roles and preconceived ideas about gender in violence in everything that you do. Challenge people. It's a part of the ethical responsibility of being a social worker. Sometimes that might even be challenging a client, challenging a co-worker. Have information about domestic and family violence available. A simple thing you could do, and you could do this on your placements. If you get somewhere and that information is not available, ring up the service and get some information. A good place to put that is in the back of a toilet door, because it's the one place we are where we're private, and it's a really great place to put information. People can write it down, take a photo, whatever, and think about how you're going to incorporate some of this knowledge into your practice. I want a special shout out here to the fellas, really, because women have done a lot of work in domestic and family violence, but we really, what I would say is we need your help. We need men to help us. We need men to stop other men from being violent towards us. So men's use of violence isn't a women's issue. It's actually a men's issue. Okay, men are making it our issue, but it's actually an issue with how men engage with each other. So we want you as women, as survivors ourselves, as workers, challenge men when they are disrespectful in the same way that you challenge racists or bigots. Think about your own behaviour. I know that's difficult. It's difficult for all of us. We have a lot of social conditioning about gender and behaviour. Be an ally to us. We don't need you to take over, but we do need you to support us in our work. If you want to do work, there's some great work happening around men and masculinities and gender-based violence, so that would be great. And just educating ourselves on domestic and family violence is really an important imperative as practitioners. I'll leave you with the Jackson Cats video in a moment, but feel free to contact me, ask any questions, and hopefully we might discuss a little bit more on the discussion board, but we could talk about this for such a long time. Thank you.